get those talks together. I know, I'm sure in the Slack and other places, if you want to run your proposal by people or get some feedback, people will be more than happy to do that. People are also very helpful when I was putting together my talk for Open Source Summit EU. So we have a very helpful community. Any updates on the request for feedback on blog posts, Chris?
I finally am going to have time to work on this.
Cool.
So yeah, I had to shelve some other things, but yeah.
Okay, cool.
The blog post will be getting worked on probably next week. So if we want to set up some time, then that'd be great.
Yeah, if you need any assistance, reach out. Happy to set up time if that would be helpful. Yeah, and next week's sort of perfect because I'm not traveling next week.
Right, like this week is kind of me playing catch up after KubeCon, I feel like, because everybody else took the time off and I didn't.
Yeah.
All right. Reviewing from previous meetings. Andrew, any updates on getting GitBOM, Gitoid, what the heck is that? GitBOM/Gitoid added to CVE/adopted by MITRE.
It's a binary OID.
Gitoid, yes, exactly.
No, nothing new, but this is a good motivator for me to go out and contact them again.
Cool. All right, rule of two. We had a come to consensus on the dual parallel trees. Moving on to Ed, should I turn this over to you?
Yeah, probably. So
Yeah.
the ELF section basically, I went and took a look at the ELF section pull request, and I think it's ready to merge, but I wanted to sort of get buy-in from the group that it's ready to merge. So if we concur that it's ready to merge, we don't have Barathi here, who's the author, but if we concur that it's ready to merge, I'm inclined towards merging. But that, yeah, the pull request, there we go. For storing gitoids in the note section. So if we concur that it's ready to merge, I'm inclined to merge it. If we have issues with it, I'm inclined to table those until Barathi can be here to respond to them. Or not table entirely, we can discuss them, but certainly not come to conclusions on without her participation.
Well, it looks like all comments were resolved. Let's see here. Is this something that you think we should keep it open as a result?
So there'd been the open discussion of URI versus binary fields. I think of the way it's currently written is binary fields using the type to discriminate between them, which is sort of idiomatic to this space, because it's kind of how ELF files think about the world and how notes entries think about the world. So I don't know. I think you were the one who was on Team URI, Dave. You were wanting to stick the URI in the notes description instead of discriminating by using the types field. Are you okay with going ahead with just using the types field to discriminate?
I'm okay with it. I mean, I put my thoughts forward. I'm not going to block anything or veto anything.
Yeah, but neither do we want to run over you, right? So
I appreciate that. Go ahead. We've got consensus. Roll with the consensus.
Okay. So do you want to go ahead and merge that then?
Sure.
Okay.
Unless is anyone question whether we should merge this? Okay, hearing none. Let's go ahead and merge. Yay.
Progress.
All right.
So distinguishing between artifact ID types and the GitBOM docs, there is a minor fixes PR that I suspect that we could probably get through pretty quickly.
Cool.
Because this was a response to a comment where somebody wanted clarity about character encoding.
That's fair. This looks good to me.
I mean, it's extremely complicated, so we should take all the time we need to discuss it.
I think it needs some ASCII art if we're gonna mention ASCII.
Careful what you wish for.
Here we go. Let's just add a ASCII Kirby for the heck of it.
Why not?
All right. Any objections to merging this? Hearing none.
It's been a very productive meeting today.
Yeah. All right. And then PR for file system persistence. Let's see. Ed, is this one where you'd want to share your screen to walk through it?
Yes, except that I haven't actually had time to make concrete progress on on most of the comments on it. So basically, there's an outstanding discussion with Ava about the sort of directory structure, and Ava's not present to represent their point of view on that. And then there's some really useful comments from Jeremy that I haven't fully had a chance to process through on this.
Okay.
So I'm happy to walk through this if folks are interested, but I've not made appreciable progress since the last time.
Okay. I'm okay with coming back to this when you have the time to make more progress on it.
Yeah, unless there's something that folks would like to draw attention to in the conversation here today, I'm perfectly open for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Anyone have questions on this or anything they'd like to draw attention to? Okay. Moving forward. To embed or not to embed, that is the question.
I think you would have, Young Kui, I think this was your sort of idea, and I know you'd actually pushed some PRs around it as well, if I recall. Are you muted, Young Kui? Okay, well, we'll possibly wait for that. I think the place we'd arrived at this was that, was the question was whether was to have some optional modes you could enable where you wouldn't embed the GitBOM identifier in the artifacts as you went. And that strikes me as being of utility. I have a few opinions around the naming of the environment variable, but since part of the environment variable naming is going to have to be revisited based on renaming of the project, I don't feel super productive about having an environment variable naming discussion at this particular moment in time, unless somebody feels strongly about it.
Yeah, so for the name, environment variable name, I think, that can be easily switched, right? It's just the name. So in our code, we can easily, change it.
It's just a matter of figuring out what we want to name it. So, I mean, I tend to view this functionally as disabling and embedding rather than record hash mode, or disable something embedding. I feel like we need a clearer environment variable name, but maybe we should, the way to go about it is just to put together a set of potential options and see how folks feel about their expressiveness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's no record hash mode right now. It's called GitBOM build mode, and then it's some options. Among all those options, there's one option called embed no gitoid.
I would suggest that we
no hash like
I would suggest that we keep it a lot simpler and just make it a simple Boolean environment variable, sort of true false.
Sure.
Basically just a flag that switches on and off.
Yeah, but that will be a field variable, right? Not just one.
Well, so what are you thinking about in terms? I've been thinking about this. The question is, do we embed or do we not embed? Are you thinking about this more broadly than whether we embed or don't embed the GitBOM
Right.
IDs?
I mean, so far I'm using one single environment variable, which control a few true or false variables like that. So
Okay,
that, yeah,
like what?
like yeah, it's just a comma separated option or attributes, right? So if you, for example, you said embed gitoid, then it will do the embed. If you said embed no gitoid, then it will won't do the embedding. If you said record hash, then it will do the record hash. If you said no record no hash, then it will don't do the recording.
So how does record hash differ from embed? Because
they
what I heard was a Boolean or
yeah, they are completely separate, or they can be independently turn on or turn off. So
no, what I'm trying to understand is semantically, what do you mean by record hash or no record hash?
record hash, just you will record like a log file contain the hash of all the artifact involved, right? So you can turn that off, so you don't do the recording at all. So that usually means you just do the create a GitBOM document, but without logging those like the raw data.
So
yeah.
Right, but I mean I thought we had talked about possibly keeping a link farm around that stuff instead of a log file.
Log file is different. Log file is complete, I mean, like a new feature, a separate feature. It's still, not linked to the symlink. The symlink is only for the GitBOM document linking, not for the log file. The log file is for a different purpose, for the post-processing. If you do the logging of the hash, then actually you don't need to generate the GitBOM document on the fly during your build, right? You can do the post-processing to recreate all your GitBOM document. So
the question I would have is, are we leaking features of BOM SH into the top level spec for generic build tools?
What do you mean? What's the question? Can you repeat?
Right. So BOM SH has a particular strategy around recording a lot of information and then post-processing it that's super intelligent for the way that BOM SH works.
Yes.
Yes. But effectively the log file itself is particular to BOM SH and is well, it's particular to BOM SH and BOM SH's strategy, and it's in some sense an intermediate product for BOM SH, where it produces this log file as an intermediate product on its way to producing the final product of the GitBOM documents.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you use that GitBOM build mode environment variable, so basically the GCC or Bean utility tool, it can create the equivalent, the exact same log file as BOMs. So you can reuse the BOMs post-processing script to
right, but we actually have some numbers for the talk that we're doing about what it takes LLVM Clang in terms of runtime to do this. And the penalties for actually recording those files as we go with LLVM Clang is extremely small. Trying to find the numbers here. So it's like you're talking low single digit, you're talking, with the kernel, low single digit percentage slowdown. And
so that's why that's configurable option, right? You can turn it off.
Right. But I don't think that's something we would want generic build tools to do. It's something BOM SH does, but I don't think it's something we want generic build tools to do.
I think it should be fine because you can turn it off, right? So only if you
but the point is adding additional complexity to build tools for their implementation makes it harder to garner adoption. right? And there's a whole set of questions around how do you name it, where do you put it, how do you find it? And from the point of view of most build tools, it's not helpful because they're just writing the GitBOM documents out as they go with very little penalty in doing so.
That's right. I think you're adding more code, more complexity, right? Will make the adoption harder, right?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So it's
Which
very
is why,
possible.
like, I think no embed is a really smart idea. Particularly for the use case that you've identified of being able to reproduce GitBOM trees for existing things. I think that the games that BOM-SH is playing for the way that BOM-SH is doing stuff is really smart. But I think it's particular to that one. I think is particular to BOM-SH. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So, do other folks have thoughts or opinions?
It sounds like it might be good to continue discussion on the GitHub issue. So people can participate asynchronously who aren't in the meeting. And so we have a more easily parsable record of the conversation. Cool.
Yeah, there's a link for all the proposal or the PR or all the things. Yeah, I can paste the PR link like that. The issue link.
Yep.
We can continue discussion over there. We can log.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that will be, I think, good.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for bringing
Cool.
this forward. All right, and next one. Yes, me and Andrew have been implementing an FFI interface, foreign function interface for the. I don't even know what.
Wait, I think you may be on the tech
Oh,
agenda.
curses.
It happens all the time, or I may have even copied the tech agenda.
I think it did get
Oh,
copied.
wait, I
in
added
here.
this in. Is today a spec meeting? Because then I apologize. I can remove it. I just wanted to note that we were doing it.
Cool.
No, I've been watching with some excitement.
Yay!
So
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. It looked fun.
Yep. Cool. All right, then moving forward to renaming.
Everyone's favorite bike shed.
Oh yes.
So I did something here, and please note if your favorite name is not here, please don't take offense. It's just a lot of work to grind through this, and feel free to add it. You should be able to add it. But in going through all the naming suggestions, and we have had a lot of good naming suggestions, one of the things that I realized is that it helps to pull them together in one place, but it also helps to know the state of where we can get the names.
Yes.
So the color lexicon here, things which are in green are names that I've already grabbed.
Oh, nice.
Things that are in yellow are names that are available that I have not grabbed. And if we could make this a little bit wider so we can see all three naming columns.
Yeah, let me just move this over here and expand this. There we go.
There we go.
Yay.
Yeah. So if you can see the red on some of the names, you'll understand why I didn't necessarily grab the domains for some of them, even though, quite frankly, some of the names I didn't grab are some of my favorite names. And it's because a lot of the names when you get to GitHub orgs and Twitter handles are unavailable. And then, but I again, if there are names that people are particularly fond of that didn't make it here, I know there was a very fun discussion, roughly pepper themed on the GitBOM channel as well.
I mean, I guess, like, do we want to stick in the same lane as salsa and guac or not? Like, that's a big sticking point.
Well, I mean, part of it really comes down to what's possible there. I think the idea of exploring the same lane as salsa and guac is a good one. I sort of noted on omnivore, can be said, you sort of think omnivore and think about it eating salsa and guac. But do we want to sort of, I know that previously Ardbor had been the most popular name originally. And then I think Jeff made a point about it's hard enough explaining about, weird letters in the middle of Arbor. And then we had a very productive set of suggestions last time, and I pulled some of those out here. Do folks want to just walk through the list? Do folks have feelings about particular names?
Well, should we consider it blocked if a Twitter handle is not available or the GitHub org is not available?
I mean, there's always, we can throw action words in front of,
True,
like
true.
run, artboard and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like I just had to do this with a new project. So
Or
there's-
suffixes on the end.
yeah,
and
like
stuff,
there's
yeah.
project, artboard projects, there's a lot of ways to do
Gotcha.
that
Okay.
as far as like orgs and Twitter handles, but like having nice alignment between all three is really kind of the goal, right? Like you don't want people to be like, oh, it's this on Twitter and it's that on
Yeah.
GitHub and it's
Yeah.
this website kind of thing, right? Like consistency is really good.
Amarilla.
Yep. There we
Well,
are.
Well,
What is an amarilla?
It's a type of mushroom.
All right. It has
Oh,
Michigan right here. Okay.
I like mycelial references.
Yep.
And the
Someone-
interesting thing is it's one of the oldest things on the planet,
Right.
2,500 years old. It's huge, but you don't see you
Ever.
see the mushrooms that come up. You don't see the whole root system.
Right. You don't see the mycelial
Ah.
network.
Yep.
Okay, and please note, do not interpret this in any way, shape, or form as me not loving the name, but the GitHub org is taken. Let me check the Twitter. And the Twitter org is taken. I'll check the
that is fun.
domains.
.com is taken, .org is not. I haven't checked .io.
I mean, I would say if we can, let's try to avoid IO.
Because it's so last year. It's
No,
so
because it's actually like cultural appropriation by the UK government.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
How do you feel about .dev?
That dev's fine. I don't care about
So
that.
Emilaria, I'm gonna have to learn to pronounce it probably. .dev is available.
I mean, do we want to post a poll in the GitBOM Slack chat or something?
Maybe. Not a bad idea.
Can we do
I'm
can we do ranked choice voting? I'm
Ooh, that's a
actually
good
not
point.
kidding. It's like we're not going to get majority on any of this stuff.
Mm-mm.
Well, the other reason that makes me laugh is every time ranked choice voting comes up, I feel the need to invoke Arrow's impossibility theorem. Which, for those of you who are not familiar, Arrow's impossibility theorem is the mathematical proof that you cannot sanely aggregate preferences, which is to say it is mathematically true that there is no such thing as the will of the people. And no matter which voting scheme you use.
Yeah, the law of averages dictate that no one will be happy.
Well, it's not just even no one is happy. Like his proof shows that no matter what voting scheme you choose, you'll get bizarre paradoxical results. Like if we were all picking between chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry, you can wind up with corner case scenarios where we all hate strawberry, but that's what we picked.
Mhm.
So okay, so that's a good suggestion. Do folks have any? I feel like we had productive sort of sense of the room discussions in the past. For example, we started with a whole raft of them, and Ardboard was sort of clearly people were feeling the tree vibe.
I don't strongly object to any of them. I have a slight preference for omnivore, but
It eats things.
it does eat things. Yeah, it munches.
I'm driven by an overwhelming desire to give the logo pointy teeth.
I love
I could go for
Omnivore
that.
brings in that bill of receipts concept, bill of receipts, artifact resolution. Like if we can somehow get the name to really clearly highlight.
Omnibrag. I mean, that's pretty damn close. I know it's not ideal.
I mean, Omniboard does have the advantage that I've already grabbed all the properties. So they were all available and I have gone and grabbed them all. And I also sort of like, in addition to the strong desire to give it pointy teeth, the fact that Omni is basically gives the notion of universe or universal.
Mhm.
And so we really are talking about sort of a universal bill of receipts for things. And it gives us the bill of receipts concept gives us a tiny bit of delta from the bill of materials folks. If that makes
Mhm.
sense.
That makes sense to me. I just don't know if it's perfect, right? Like, and we're chasing
absolutely.
perfect, and we probably shouldn't be. I don't know.
I don't think we
Are
need
we
to.
I mean,
chasing perfect?
I don't think we need to chase perfect. We need to chase not confusing.
Yes.
Well, in certain things, like along the way, thinking about some of this graph of receipts got my imagination, but Omnigore felt like it might be taken the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds like a horror genre.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes the pointy teeth much scarier.
Yeah, less likely to be implemented too.
Argor instead of Argom would be graph of receipts.
Argor. That'd be cool.
Let me see if let me take a look
Sounds
and see
like a
the
name
naming
from the
situation with
Silmarillion.
Argor.
Well, I mean, but like,
Yeah.
you
I
could
like
call it. You could call it auger for short, right, or something like that, right? Like,
Let me
That's
actually.
a plumbing thing, isn't it?
well, it's a lot of things, right? Like,
True.
you can use an auger to make a fence post, or all the way down to a like cell phone tower.
What about,
So let's see,
yeah, I
Twitter-
mean, Augur, artifacts, universal graph of receipts. So,
Not terrible.
No, definitely not. Hang on a second. I am busily.
You're
If folks
fine.
could start adding
Take
them to
your
the
time.
spreadsheet. No, but if
Yeah.
folks could start capturing them to the spreadsheet so we can accumulate the naming
Yes.
results, that would be helpful. Okay, so argur.dev and argur.org is registered, but argur.dev is available. So augur.dev and org are available as names. The Twitter accounts are taken though, it looks like.
Of course.
So there is a homophone for Argur, which is augur, which is, I believe, sort of some kind of prognostication, if memory serves me correctly. I'll have to do a tiny bit of Googling to make sure that I'm not screwing that up, because my vocabulary is the tables for the vocabulary in my brain are really weird. Okay, the Twitter account for Argur is available. No, not the Twitter, I'm sorry, the GitHub.
All right. So this is turning into Bike Shed, which naming conversations tend to do. Do we want to, put this in the GitBOM Slack or otherwise and say, okay, people have until next meeting to add suggestions for names. Please add in the, verify whether the domain and GitHub org or Twitter handle are available. And then perhaps at the next one, we can put together a poll, a ranked choice poll where we can vote on it, and then the winner becomes the name.
I'm perfectly fine with that. So Bogor begins to sound like, again, another Tolkien name, which is not a bad thing.
No,
Not a bad thing. Like, I mean, is there some like English word? I mean, the less Englishy it is, the easier it is to find. But is there an English word that like just analogs right into what we're doing? No. So we know it's going to be an acronym more than likely, or some kind of play on an acronym.
Yeah. But by the way, I've put the homophone into the chat, augur, which is the one that has to do with divining.
Oh, fun.
To foretell, especially for moments. Now, the domain, like it appears that nothing is available for that word, by the way. The domains are taken,
Oh,
the
sure
GitHub accounts are taken, the Twitter accounts are taken. But it is a homophone, right? So it's useful because, foretell from omens. Augur often involves the kinds of omens that one finds in chicken entrails, which somehow feels appropriate.
yeah, it kind of works.
Mhm.
Figuring out meaning from the innards of your software.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it gets gory. Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we? I'll put together something, put it in the Slack, requesting people add in name possibilities to this, and perhaps we can reserve time. I know it's a tech meeting, but reserve time at the end. You say you have until the next meeting to add names, and then at the next meeting we'll reserve some time at the end to discuss putting together the ranked choice polling or whatever it is we choose to do, and holding a vote with the name to be announced at the following meeting.
That sounds perfectly orderly to me.
Any objections?
I'm kind of.
Oh, go ahead.
I just sort of with one curiosity, and this is more about how people's brain works than anything else. But there's a light invocation in omnivore in my brain that still feels vaguely like trees because of the BOR ending. That may just be the weird way that my brain parses words into sentiments. Sort of like the world tree.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Really good point. What was the world snake called in?
Yusindril.
Yes, never mind. We're not going to be able to spell that, right?
No one will ever. Well,
No one will ever.
It was
get that
also.
right.
It was also the name of the very first Linux distribution I installed.
Yes, I remember that too. So like that's
Dear
what I
God.
actually like the
I had
video game
no
God
idea
of
you were
War
that-
coming out, like, and then that like both kind of clicked together for me for a second. I was like, what's
You
the name
certainly
again?
don't look. You certainly don't look that old, Chris.
I know. I am that old though. So yeah.
So you would remember the. Do you want the cuneiform fonts? Of course, I want the cuneiform fonts.
Right. Like, oh, the pain. Linux is so much
Who doesn't
easier
want
now.
Who doesn't want the cuneiform fonts?
All right.
So
Cool. All right. I'll post that in the Slack right after the meeting. And with that, I think that's the end of our agenda. Anything else anyone else wanted to bring up before we close? All right. Well, hearing
Awesome.
none, happy to give everyone 16 minutes back. And thank you so much for joining us today, those of you here and those of you watching the recording. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.
Cool.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks, everyone.